Red Bull GRCs are now available on iRacing.
(1989), home and the setting of the Kamel GT Championship, and here tonight on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live, we take you just a little bit retro as we welcome you to week number 5 of RaceSpot TV Primetime here, also streaming live on iRacing Live. It's Will Vinton along with Connery Maddock. We are at the Nürburgring. Qualifying is just gotten itself underway. We're looking at a track that is 3.5 miles in length, 16 corners, racing today for 40 minutes. Connery, let's go old school.
Yes, let's go old school indeed, all the way back to 1989 when these cars were out there on North American racing circuits racing. But a little bit of a change in that one. We're here at the Nürburgring GP Strecke here, and qualifying, as you said, is well underway. No lap times come in just yet from your drivers out there on circuit, but one driver that's on a lap right now is that number 1 machine of Dave Halink.
Yeah, in fact, we're riding on board of him. Let's give you some real colour once again, shall we? On board of him as he starts a lap. Of course, we're running the 2002, was it, spec layout, the most recent version of the Nürburgring with, of course, a Mercedes-Benz Arena. But the two classes of cars we've got here, we've got prototypes, we've got GT cars. Both of them are an absolute beast to handle.
Yeah, that is the correct term to use as well. I, as a experiment, tried this Nissan GTP machine, and oh my god, it is a difficult beast to handle. You've got so much grip through the corners because of the huge amount of ground effect that it has, but the turbo lag was one thing that I had to get myself used to seeing in these modern cars. You put the power down and there is the power instantly, but in these, it just takes a little bit of time for that turbo to kick in.
But when it does, it comes with a big bang. So Geelink is on a lap right now. We'll show you a look at the lap times as they are coming through. You'll notice the fact that we've got ourselves 8 of our prototype drivers who have qualified out of the 12 running here today, and one of the 4 drivers in our GT division. We'll turn our attention over to that GT field. Oh, that's what you talk about when you talk about a handful there. Through the chicane for Geelink, now into the Coca-Cola curve, exiting the Coca-Cola curve, heading towards the start-finish line. 1:42.8 for Dave Geelink. That is the top of the timing stands for him.
Yeah, top of the board by half a second as well, so brilliant qualifying time for him. And there's not many people out there that could really challenge him. We've got Lepisto here,
come on, that's
through
my
the final
job to get it
corner.
wrong.
Yeah, but the thing is, I have more of a sort of streak of getting finish names wrong as he heads his way across the line. 1:43.1 for him, so does improve on his time, does close the gap to Halink, but still not enough.
Yeah, there you can see there for the Pesto. I'm actually now just going to pull that car to a stop. His qualifying is over. There is Ove. Let's turn our attention actually over to that number 8 machine, this fantastically beautiful Audi Quattro. You talk about the prototype car being fun to drive, a handful to drive. It's all good. Then you get into this Audi.
Yeah, absolutely is. It has the same issue with the turbo, and of course you can get these cars into, let's just try a little bit of 4-wheel drifting around these corners here, but obviously not the fastest way around the circuit, and these drivers will hope they won't be doing that on these qualifying laps as Chungari heads his way through turn number 7 in the fork, heading down towards Dunlop now. Cycling themselves through those gears, gets themselves spotted for the braking marker, coming down to the slightly cambered right-hander. Trouble in the middle of the corner there, but squares off the exit quite well. And then coming up, it's this high downforce section of the Michael Schumacher S's. Has to get this slow down through there. He can't take this one like a prototype. There's not enough downforce on that Audi to go through there pretty much flat out. So off he goes down towards now turn number 11 here out on circuit. As again, he gets a drift coming through there. And does that count as a four-wheel drift?
Just about, I would say. Just about.
Just about as he comes out of what is going to be the Blisten curve there, turn number 12, coming through the kink of turn number 13, and now spot the braking marker for the tight chicane. This is the Formula 1 chicane. This is not the WEC layout where they'll take that wider chicane. Gotta hit both of these apexes here, but not too much. Can unsettle the car. Does finally get the traction down, heading towards the Coca-Cola curve, the final turn here. Gets himself all over the curve, trying to maximize that entry speed. And good run through the middle of the corner, good exit, and let's see what Chungari can do as he heads his way across line. Can he extend his run at the front here? And the answer to that one is going to be no. He got off track somewhere out there on circuit, so that means that lap was invalidated.
Yep. Let's go on board and have a look at Michel de Jong. Going to be very close, actually, for de Jong to see whether or not he'll make it back in time. 25 seconds to go in qualifying. No time set by de Jong. Only 4 drivers, though, in this GTO field here today. And the final one of those, the number 10 machine, hasn't actually set a lap here at all. 10 seconds, running it all the way to the line then for de Jong, pushing wide on the exit of the Coca-Cola curve, now running towards the start-finish line. I don't think he's going to get it in. No.
No, he isn't, and checkered flag will be out before he heads his way across the line, and so that will be a set for our grid.
Yep, let's actually have a run through then your starting grid here for this evening. And there you can see at the front of your field, Dave Geeling, qualifying time, 1 minute 42.818. Starting on the front row alongside Antti Lepisto, a third of a second back in that number 2 machine. So number 1, number 2 front row. Jamie Hall in 3rd place for Club UK and Ireland. He is a further 4 tenths of a second back from Lepisto. And then Nicholas Schneider there in 4th place, the outside of row number 2. Cycle on back, there you can see rows number 3 and 4 on your grid. As you say, we've got ourselves 12 drivers who have qualified in your prototype class, those fantastically beautiful Nissans. And then we turn our attention over to the 4 drivers in your GT field. You've got Ove Trungari there in the front of that classification. And then you got yourself Hideki Kavisto in 2nd place, Michel de Jong in 3rd place, and Buefer in P number 4. All 4. So that's what we're at then. Here is the Nürburgring. 18 degrees Celsius, 50% humidity, 9 km/h winds. That is what we have got to deal with here today, Connery.
Yeah, very cold track temperature. The cloud is just fine, just little patches of cloud out there, but the air temperature, 19 degrees Celsius, track 24 degrees Celsius. Of course, this won't affect much in terms of strategy because we're expecting 0 stops for the entirety of both classes. It just means those tires are going to be suffering a little bit less by the end of this race as everyone tries to get themselves stacked up and ready behind that iRacing roof pace car. Not a full pace lap here, just before the kink on that back straight, so we'll be getting the racing underway relatively shortly. So without a pit stop, well, this is just going to be all pace out there on track. Nothing to do with the strategy. You just gotta, it's all down to the drivers.
Yep, and one of our 3 Audis has decided that the race isn't for them. So unless he's going to start on pit road, that number 10 machine doesn't look as though he will be taking part in our event here today. That means we have got ourselves 15 drivers taking the starting grid here on Kamel GT, Racebot TV Prime Time Friday night. Welcome to a great weekend's worth of racing, of course. Global Rallycross, as well as our friends over with some dirt racing later on tonight in World of Outlaws. Tomorrow, you got yourself the Pro Series of Road Racing, as well as the Raw before the 24. So much other action going on Racebot TV. Keep us locked and loaded on iRacing Live. Find out more, Racebot.tv, for all the latest action that we will be bringing to you. Cars work themselves then through that final corner, getting ourselves ready for the green flag here at the Nürburgring. Side by side for the moment, they're down in towards turn number 1 as we go on board of your race leader, Dave Geeling. And actually, Lepisto almost lost 2nd place there by the looks of it, but was able to hang on at the front of your field. We've got a car turning around as well. That is Rory Collins in the number 16 machine. A little bit of bunching together then at the start of this event. We'll get ourselves a quick look at this in towards turn number 1. I don't know if he got tagged or if he just lost it all by himself under braking there, Connery.
he lost it but all by himself. He got 2 tires onto that grass on the outside there, and under braking, that's not what he wants to be doing in these cars. Spins himself into the gravel trap and has to rejoin in the thick of the GTO field. A very small GTO field, but a GTO field it is. So now Rory Collins has to race himself from all the way from the back in this 40-minute event, but everyone else, it seems, has gotten themselves through fine.
Yeah, indeed. So we're on board with the number 3 machine right now. Rob Oligniak in the number 3 machine, currently in 5th place, hunting down Nicholas Schneider in the number 6 car as they work themselves through turn number 11 into Warnsteiner curve. That hard 90-degree right-hand that dips away and corner exit now into Advan Bogan, turn number 13 on track. And as we mentioned earlier on, it is the Grand Prix style chicane here, which means you've got to slow it all the way down as you come into the NGK chicane. And of course, that final corner, Coca-Cola curve, turn number 16. And it's worth noting that the Piso has already lost a second to everyone else. We've got an incident behind.
Yeah, that's Philip Lake in that number 5 machine. Just didn't get it stopped for the first apex. In fact, he did get it stopped, but he hit the curb a bit too hard. I did mention it when we were on that qualifying lap with Chengarid. If you hit these curbs too hard, they can unsettle the car. That's exactly what's happened to Philip Lake on that first apex.
Yep, live timing and scoring will be available in exactly 20 seconds time, ladies and gentlemen. As you just see there, the replay of Philip Lake as he'd worked himself, hit that curb, and as a consequence of that, well, he's now down last place in class. And now, indeed, live timing and scoring is available, ladies and gentlemen. Visit racebot.tv/timing for that one. Let's turn our attention over to your GTO field very quickly, because Michel de Jong was able to get ahead then of Hideki at the start of this motor race. He's a 2-horse race. I say 2-horse race out of 3 right now. And Michel de Jong is not allowing Chengarid to get away with this.
Yeah, definitely not hanging around. Of course, he didn't set a qualifying time in qualifying, but thanks to him, that doesn't drop him too far back. So now he's right on the back of your race leader. The lap time advantage did go to Chengarid that last time by around about 0.3 of a second. But de Jong, over this past lap in the first sector, he has closed up that gap just a little bit as they head their way down into Dunlop now. And Chengarid, he outbrakes himself there, coming down into the middle of the corner, but he is going to get away with it, and that gap is stayed the same.
Yeah. Now you just see up the Michael Shoe. He's off. Goodbye, race lead. Goodbye, race lead.
Yeah, goodbye race lead indeed, and Michel de Jong is going to take the race lead. We're used to seeing a certain Mitchell de Jong take the race lead in GRC events, but this is not that particular driver. This is Michel de Jong of Club Benelux now leading a GTO field.
Yeah, caught the curb on the inside of the first part of the Michael Schumacher S there, and that just pushed the car wide off into the kitty litter, and as a consequence, now down in P number 2, 1 second behind Michel de Jong. Got side by side, a tic-tac, number 13 machine right there, along with Philip Lake. They've been going at it down in towards turn number 1, and Philip Lake will move himself back up 1 position in towards into position number 8 even, and Krundruk there is going to fall down into P number 9, number 13 car on the exit of the Mercedes-Benz Arena. And I always say, I do love some of these old school liveries. Look at that Tic-Tac livery. It's absolutely beautiful.
It is absolutely beautiful. The driver of Martin Keserek here, and then number 13 running relatively well. He puts himself back down into P number 9, but the thing is, he started there, so perhaps it's been an okay day for him as he heads his way through Dunlop now. He has the driver of John Hill behind to be worrying about in this sort of situation, but if Keserek can get back into a rhythm, I don't think he'll be too much of an issue when all is said and done. But battle for the race lead in GTO still on. Chengarid trying to go for the inside, coming down to turn number 7. Move wasn't on for him, though.
Yep. And actually, Chengarid has actually been able to close up about 0.7 of a second after he had that off at the Michael Schumacher S. They're coming, though, back into that same corner again now. So let's see whether Chengarid can nail this corner this time. He lost it on the inside curve, pushing wide. You can see it a little bit more careful, though. That time, de Jong was the one that pushed wide a little bit. So they'll now come up to turn number 11. You know what? Turn number 11 here is far more difficult than people give it credit for, as I believe we've had Rory Collins around.
Yeah, exactly. You turn number 11, you just look at it and think, that seems like a relatively simple 90-degree left-hander, but as a lot of drivers will tell you, it's just not that simple, and I see more mistakes coming up into there than I see down into a very tricky hairpin of turn 1, for instance. So it's definitely one you can't really take for granted, but Trengrid getting a good run coming through the chicane, though. Good entry coming into Coca-Cola curve. De Jong has to push a little bit wide, but will get a better exit as a result. Trengrid has to chase him all the way down this pit straight, and look at that, De Jong's just going to pull out the gap. No move on still for the 8.
Nope, and the gap is like gear shift in the Audi Quattro in towards turn number 1 again. Just moving that car to the outside line just to make sure he doesn't run into the back of De Jong. These brakes on these cars, they are not the best, shall we say, in terms of all the cars that we have on the iRacing service. As Trengrid, a little bit of opposite lock through turn number 3, now into 4, so that was 2 into 3, as they'll come down, and they are still the closest battle we've got on track, except Philip Lake actually is trying to get a little bit more. So we've got ourselves a Texaco car now versus John Key from Club Indiana, as they exit themselves out of Warnsteiner. That run towards Advan Bogan going on right now, so 2 little battles going on, 1 in Prototype, 1 in GTO.
Yeah, Philip Lake looking to chase down John Keefe, heading themselves through the Artel chicane now, but Lake just doesn't get the exit that he needs. That one is going to be defended by Keefe for just yet another corner here, and looking for a good exit off Coco Cliff, and will do so. So we will just have a look back to this GTO lead now, and Trengrid, he can get thereabouts, but there's nothing happening for him at this moment in time. De Jong, once he's got himself to the front through a gift from Trengrid, he hasn't really let it go.
Yeah, as Philip Lake tried to do a late breakdown into the inside in turn 1, wasn't able to make that one work over John Keefe, as I'll now come through turn number 3 on track. The back end now of the Mercedes-Benz Arena. Ironically, in a track that has no Mercedes here, as Philip Lake will move themselves through now towards turn number 5. Absolutely love this section of racetrack. That very fast left, then into the right, trying to slow it down through there a little bit as well. Exit of the corner. This actually might be a chance for Lake. He got a better run off the corner, but then lost a little bit on corner exit. Or did he? Nope. Going to have to stay behind for the time being. So he gets himself alongside, though. Exit of the corner, makes himself the move as John Keefe just pushed wide down in turn number 8.
Yeah, just John Keefe's own mistake there. Didn't get slowed down enough coming down into Dunlop, and that is just the pressure telling there coming from Philip Lake. Just squeaks his way by on the inside. Not a problem at all. Look at that. He's already pulled out a gap on the order of a couple of tenths of a second already. So Philip Lake looking to make his charge back up the field. Already passed a couple of drivers, but still a long way to go to get himself back in towards P number 6. That's Federant here coming through the RTL chicane, coming on the exit. So just another couple of seconds for Lake to try and catch himself back up to the number 7 French driver there. So he's had his work cut out, but the battle for the race lead in GTO still on, coming down into Dunlop. Trengrid, the closest he ever has been. Let's see what he can make of it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. On the exit of Dunlop now for the Michael Schumacher S. Trengrid still takes a lot of curb there on the first apex in the Michael Schumacher S. As now into 11 once again. Much better run, actually, entering under braking for Trengrid compared to Michel de Jong, as we'll just see on the exit of Warnsteiner curve. You need to have a really good run for Advan Bogan if you're going to try and make the move down into the chicane, and Trengrid's not going to be close enough as they'll make that transition into the corner now. 4 tenths per second, nowhere near close enough. You can't slot one down the inside, pretty much because it is single file on that part of the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely single file. Last lap dive down the inside of there may be on, but in terms of the rest of the racing laps that we have here, it's not really much of a viable opportunity. And I just saw Michel de Jong launch that car off of the final turn there. Trengrid had to lift out because he took a bit too much of the track exit, and that means he's not going to have the move down into turn number 1. And look at him, he's just so squirrely on the brakes. Takes the more outside line here, trying to get the run on through the corner, but de Jong is going to be driving pretty well defensively here, coming through the Mercedes Drivers Arena, knows Trengareed is really faster, at least in qualifying pace, and maybe in this race pace as well. But Trengareed, he's basically his own worst enemy at this moment in time. He's just not getting the runs at the corners he needs, not getting close enough to the back bumper to make a move.
Yeah, we go retro for a lap here then on Racesport TV. We go back on board with Ove Trengareed. Just for those of you who are wondering, we will check in with the rest of your field. They are all pretty well spread out. This is the best battle we have got on track for the time being on the exit then of that very difficult downhill right-hander down at turn number 7. Little flick now before you come into turn number 8. Dunlop curve. Trengareed still not able to do anything, and he just seems to be better under braking at certain sections on track, but less confident when you're in these medium speed corners. Let's have a listen into the Michael Schumacher. Yes. Yeah, not so bad. But he's still not finding a way past there, Connery.
No, he's just, again, that car seems so squirrely on the exits of the corners as well. And, you know, you talk about four-wheel drive getting much better acceleration, just not really happening for Ove right now. And, again, De Jong is maximizing every part of the circuit to keep himself ahead. Onto the brakes into the NGK chicane again. Now, much better entry for Ove there. Again, the exit, he clatters the curb, has to get it into a slide, has to lift out the throttle, and that means he has a compromise run down towards the final corner, but a much better entry for him this time. And he just passed Kirby on for a late brakes coming down into turn number 1 now, but De Jong, again, a characteristic good exit.
Yeah, so let's run through your top 8 in your prototype class. We haven't really given much love to, but worth noting that Dave Geelink has now started lapping your very small GTO field, and in fact, he will be lapping De Jong and Trengareed by the looks of it. I would say the next lap to lap and a half. He's leading right now by 7.8 seconds over Antti Lepisto, number 1, leading number 2. Then Jamie Hall in 3rd place, 9.3 seconds back from your race leader. And then Nicholas Schneider is in 4th place, and he's 11.5 seconds back from your leader so far. Rob Ondrzejniak there in 5th place. He's about a second and a half back from Schneider. Then Calvin Frondent even in P number 6, running in no man's land, although Philip Lake has caught him pretty quickly. Now he's only half a second back from that number 7 car. Let's turn our attention over to Philip Lake, actually. John Keefe is in P number 8. And the rest of your field, we've got the number 13 machine, Martin Krunchik there in 9th place. John Hill in 10th. Rory Collins in 11th. And then Jose Antonio Camara Padres in P number 12. All of your prototype field are still running, Connery.
Yes, they are. Only retirements from this field right now are ones that, well, didn't even start the event, and that is Katerine Buefa down in that GTO field. And here comes Dave Halink now lapping your 2 race leaders. GTO, as he almost forced off the track there coming up towards the NGK chicane. That was so close there. Could have spelled the end for both of your race leaders.
Let's have a look on the replay.
Oh, here comes Trengareed. Down towards the inside of Coca-Cola curve, battle for the race lead in GTO, and Trengareed on that inside line has to struggle for traction there. Side by side coming across the line now, and Trengareed's going to have to back out of this one, but no, missed shift for Michel de Jong, and there goes Trengareed storming his way by driver's right.
Right, we were looking at the replay of Dave Geelink there. We saw him almost getting pushed off the road. Let's go now look at what happened. Here's the side-by-side battle of Trengareed and de Jong. Exit, final corner. You can see they stayed side by side all the way down at front straight away, but one missed shift by the number 9 machine of Michel de Jong. That is all that it took. And these cars, of course, well, no flappy paddle gearboxes here. Number 9 machine back down to P number 2.
Yeah, exactly, and what a moment for a misshift to happen, and I guess that's one of those sorts of things that happen under pressure, side by side with another car. He had the position down into towards turn number 1 if he didn't miss that shift, but missed that shift he did, and now he's back into P number 2, and now he is the one behind trying to chase down your leader.
Here's a look at Dave Geelink having to go onto the grass, 2 wheels there, again, to try and make that move work. Now what I want to do is I want to turn our attention over to Michel de Jong. Let's put that replay back up for you here. Here's where they start going side by side into the final corner. Now we'll listen in to de Jong. This is them going side by side. You can just see we rotate that camera a little bit. he got a box full of neutrals there down in towards turn number 1, Connery.
Yeah, definitely seems so. And, well, some of these drivers run on their sim rigs with the sort of manual gearboxes. Not all of them just have the flappy paddles that usually come standard on racing wheels. But it's just to add to immersion. But the thing is, a little bit of added immersion there really risked Michel de Jong's event there. It did give him away the race lead, but could have ended a little bit worse if that happened right in front of Trengereid. If he was right behind him, he could have just run into the back of him because he just ended up being so slow on the straight.
Yeah, we've also lost Rob, number 3 car. That's due to technical difficulties by the looks of that. That was down at the Mercedes-Benz Arena. So we have now lost someone from our prototype field here today. Jamie Hall versus Anthony Piso. This one's just starting to get interesting. Let's have a look at the lap times. I'll be able to explain it to you. But Jamie Hall, the last 3 laps, has gained a second and a bit over that driver of Anthony Piso. Gap is now 8/10 of a second, and let's not discount Nicholas Schneider as well. He runs in 4th place, and he's not out of it either.
Yeah, not out of it at all. And in fact, these drivers will perhaps have one less driver to deal with because it looks like retirement from technical issues here for the number 3 of Rob Ozenchak here. So he's dropping his way down through the field. So complete shame for him to have that happen with about 23 minutes left in this event. But yeah, battle for P number 2 potentially going to be on here because, as I said, Jamie Hall caught about 6/10 of a second up to the pistol last time by. And again, as you say, Schneider, again, another potential player in this one. So the race lead may be pretty much all over for your prototypes if Haylink keeps that one clean. But P number 2 and the rest of your podium positions, that's definitely still on.
We've got side by side going on. Philip Lake has made a pass, and he's got himself up to P number 5. Let's get ourselves a second look at this one, shall we? And it's been in the works the last couple of laps. He really caught right up to the rear of Calvin Frondent there. And it just, trying to see where he's done this, because I've got a feeling it's just before he gets into one side of curve. He closed up dramatically into the Michael Schumacher S. He's not going to try and do this into 11. Ah, beautiful move into turn number 11 there for Philip Lake. Makes the pass into 11. Now, you can do that, Connery, but it relies on driving front, really messing up the S, which is actually what Frondent did.
Yeah, and Frondent didn't decide to defend the inside line at all, so the door was also left open for Philip Lake in that sort of situation. So put himself up into P number 5 in 1 position improvement over his qualifying position. And meanwhile, your GTO race lead, they have a bit of traffic to be concerned about from behind here. Olenjak is back out there on circuit after his technical issues, so he's deciding to race for the SR, as we call it, as he heads his way down the inside of your P number 2 GTO driver. He's just there just to make sure the SR loss isn't as big as it perhaps otherwise would be.
Well, don't forget he only had technical issues, so he's looking to just gain at this point. He's got 4.99 safe driving, so come on, it can't be that bad. Those will say, yes, Will, but you know, after a certain period of time, look how close it is behind, actually. That is the Texaco machine of Jamie Hall. Yeah, I think they just worked themselves through that traffic. No, there's another Texaco machine. Look at that. They're all trying to work themselves up the Michael Schumacher S. What's wrong?
Oh, Trengereid got really, really compromised by that one from Philip Lake coming through. Here comes another prototype as well. That's Frondent down towards the inside, but that could have been oh so messy, as again is a compromised entry for Trengereid here. But de Jong's just not close enough to capitalize on the unfortunate situations that the number 8's getting himself into.
Yeah, let's have a look at a replay of this one from up above, because it did get pretty messy at one point. This is down into the Dunlop curve. Notice the fact you've got yourself that Texaco car, Philip Lake. He's just working himself behind both of those GTO cars. He gets past 1 into the Michael. And look at how late he dove into the Michael Schumacher S. That was good heads-up driving there by Trengereid to get himself the heads-up. But actually, de Jong is back in the lead of this one over Trengereid.
Yeah, he's back in the lead, and that was a pass done down into the very tight NGK chicane, and coming through the right-hand kink on the back straight. Chengurit just really didn't get enough speed there, and De Jong just flew by. Driver's left-hand side had to complete the move coming down towards the first apex, though. But once you've lost that first apex, you've pretty much lost the second one as well, and Chengurit has to fall behind.
Yeah, there's a look then. De Jong back to your race lead, and that was really good situational awareness there by De Jong. Knowing the fact that that traffic was going to bunch it up, put Chengurit just a little bit off balance. Well done there by De Jong, although there is still more traffic to come. John Keefe is the next person to get past these two. Let's actually ride on board with Keefe for a little bit, because that's a close battle. That'll be interesting to see, because he's actually going to catch them around the same point, around the Michael Schumacher S.
Yeah, so close eye on this one needed as they head down into Dunlop. Chengurit looking for the gap, but the gap isn't showing itself. And Keefe, what is he going to do here in this sort of situation? Does Chengurit just back completely out of the Michael Schumacher S's? No, he stays in front and holds up the prototype. That's the best thing for his race at the moment. And what happens coming up into turn number 11 now? Keefe has to go down towards the inside, but gets that one done on the brakes as Kerzrick here as well, getting himself involved. Splits the GTO race lead at this moment in time, but he will make his way by relatively easily coming down towards the right-hand kink. And overall, I think Chengurit has really lost out.
Yeah, he has. Gaps are actually, just because of the fact that De Jong had to track wide a little bit, it's kept Chengurit in it just a little bit. We have got a battle, though, for P number 2 that has really got close now. This is Lepisto, second place, number 2 machine. Jamie Hall, number 4 machine, third place. Gap is half a second. Now, he's caught up, catching one thing, passing another. We know that. Look at that, though. Lap number 11 gained 0.7 of a second over Lepisto.
Yep, exactly. Jamie Hall definitely the the driver with the pace at the moment, but not that last time by. It's just 0.5 of a second goes to Lepisto last time by, but the overall trend has been Hall has really been reeling in the Finnish driver. So Finland versus UK, and I settle this one for the World Cup, boys, as they head themselves down in towards turn number 11, and Hall's just going to have to stay behind just for now. He has enough time to think about this one. 17 minutes left in this event, and Dave Hale is so far down the road, you don't really have to be considering him at this moment in time, so Hall can pick his fights here.
John G. Hill versus Rory Collins as well. That's a battle going on, 9th place in class, and you note the fact there that Collins really has caught up to the rear of John G. Hill over the course of the last 3 laps or so. The gap, please close it down. It's about 2.5 seconds, and actually now Hill is coming up to these 2 drivers again at the Michael Schumacher S. So let's see what happens. Hill's going to get past the number 8 car. Oh, Chengurit. That's fine. Inside line, down into the Schumacher S. Not going to be close enough, though, to get past De Jong into turn number 11. Or is he going to try and dive? No, he's not going to dive it late there. Good driving there by Hill. He's not going to slick one down the inside. And both of the prototypes have gotten themselves through. Now it's a case of De Jong's going to have to track wide, I think, again. Or they're going to make him go around the long way? Yeah, they are going to make him go around the long way. Although the Audi catching a lot of curbs, side by side almost. 3 wide into the NGK chicane. Not going to happen. Collins stays behind Hill. That, I think, was Collins' best opportunity so far.
Yeah, exactly. And the lead battle for GTO is still not over. Looking towards inside, outside for Chengurit. Still nothing coming down into the Coca-Cola curve. And, well, he's going to be behind when it comes towards the start-finish line here. Jamie Hall and Antti Lepisto. That's a battle that is still going on at this moment in time. And they're heading up towards the Michael Schumacher S's now. Actually, on the exit of the Michael Schumacher S is coming down in towards turn number 11. Hall's run has kind of stalled out a little bit. Maybe just got caught behind in the dirty air effect, which does affect these prototypes just a little bit here, even though they're primarily ground effect based in terms of their cornering speed. But up towards NGK chicane now, and there is going to be such a small difference in terms of lap times, both inside the 1:45.2s that last time by. I had to guess that'd be similar as they had their way across the line again. Let's
talk about the turbo lag a little bit, because you mentioned it earlier on. That's one of the things that actually does make overtaking sometimes difficult in these cars. Coming out of a slow corner, because of that turbo lag, it means sometimes that you're wanting to get on the power. You thought you got a good line out of it, and there's just nothing there for you.
Yep, exactly. And you have to drive these four-wheel drive cars in the GTOs just slightly differently, because you can't get on the power as early as you perhaps want, because that car will just lock up and just get the differential will just kick in, and you'll track out a bit too much, a bit too wide there. So you just have to make sure you can get your line off the corner correct before you even start to touch the power.
Yeah, of course. These are prototype and GT cars, and from the next week and a half or so, we are going to put ourselves front and center at one track, which is known as Daytona. We start tomorrow with the Raw before the 24. That'll be 5 p.m. GMT here on Racespot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. It's the first iRacing special event of the year. Those of you watching in America or in Australia, our friends over at V8 Online will also broadcast the top split of the first race. That is also streaming live on iRacing Live, 2 a.m. GMT overnight here on iRacing Live. As we go back to Jamie Hall then, this is where he needs to get the move. I think he needs to try and find the drive, try and do something. Launch it up the inside, not quite close enough there, 0.2 of a second back into the chicane, but it's either there, or I'd say maybe turn number 11, force that number 2 car, just track wide a little bit into Dunlop.
Yeah, that could be the possible strategy that Jamie Hall is just going to have to look to complete here. But right now, as soon as he got behind the finish driver ahead of him, all that run of trying to catch up to the driver, he was a good second or so back previously. Once he's caught up to the back now, he's just, you know, his pace is pretty much just bottomed out here, and he has to really work to try and find a gap over the Pisto ahead of him. It's slightly different lines coming into the Mercedes arena, but everything will be the status quo as they head down into the latter part of it now. Up into turn 3, turn number 4, and Hall, still no run for him, and still no opportunity for him either, as, you know, it's just, the thing is, he has all of this time to work with. He isn't getting pressured from behind. Schneider is just coming down into turn number 6 now as they exit turn number 7, so he still has time, still has 13 minutes to make this move, but, you know, you don't want to be making it on the last lap, putting all that pressure on yourself.
I completely agree. As worth noting that Jamie Hall's last lap time was only a 10.5 slower than his fastest lap of the day so far. 12.5 minutes to go, of course, plus that additional lap, as they are still really close together. I was looking for a moment as well at John Keefe versus Martin Kudrick. Although that number 13 machine has dropped off the rear of Keefe a little bit after gaining the previous through lap. So this is one battle going on, of course. We'll just show you a battle going on for your race lead still in GTO. That's De Jong versus Trengereed. The gap, though, was up to about 1.2 seconds, although the car just ahead of Michel De Jong tracked out very wide at turn number 1. That's allowed Trengereed to close that gap by a 10th or so of a second, just as De Jong is having to kind of readjust his line. What's on?
Keefe, he's had a bit of a problem into the Dunlop hairpin here, and he's all alone. So single car incident coming through the middle of Dunlop. Just the car just broke away from him. That was a strange one.
Yep, let's have a replay. We're on board. He'd hit the apex, and you're right, the back end just came out on him all of a sudden. It's not often you really see that.
Yeah, that back end just came around, and, well, these cars are very stable in the high-speed corners because of the amount of downforce that they generate, but Dunlop slightly slower, and the car just came around. I'm not exactly sure how to explain that one, Will.
No, or Rory Collins side by side with John G. Hill on the run through the chicane. We said you couldn't go too wide there. Well, they did. They made it through the other end as well. A little bit of beating, a little bit of contact, although Hill able to hold on for the moment. That one deserves a second look from our aerial coverage brought to you by And1 Design. In towards the chicane, you see that Collins gets a fantastic run, moves himself to the outside to break a bit later into the corner. We'll pause it there. And then what happens is, Connery, Hill knows he has to track harder into the corner to make side-to-side contact, but then for Collins, he just ran over that curb on the second apex of the corner. Consequence of that being that he couldn't get in a position.
Yeah, Collins really did have to commit to that outside line, and commit he did, but it still didn't pay off. And if he didn't clatter the curb on the exit there, he could have taken that side-by-side all the way up to the final corner, and you would have had the advantage of having the inside line there. But looking back to the live pictures, this battle still isn't over between John Hill and Rory Collins. Collins did have to track out a little bit too wide coming through turn number 7, so drops him back a couple of tenths, but deep on the brakes into Dunlop as well. Collins, fantastic on those brakes, which is why he could have made that potential move into the GK chicane. Let's see if he can make it again.
Yeah, we're on board through the Michael Schumacher S up the hill. And now into turn number 11. Nothing there really for him just yet. But it's all about the exit from the Warnsteiner curve. The next curve coming up. Let's remember what we said about turbo light. Getting the power down in such a way that you maximize your corner exit. Didn't really work there for Collins. You see, he lost himself a tenth of a second. That allows Hill to just dance away a little bit. In fact, a tenth and a half. That is what a poor corner exit does in these type of cars.
Yeah, exactly, and it just drops Collins back through the available. But it's actually Collins. He goes down towards the inside at the final corner and tags John Hill around. And that gap wasn't really on for Rory Collins. He went for the move when the move wasn't on, and as a result, both cars are going to be. Actually, they're not going to lose positions here since they are on the back of the prototype field. But a little bit of bruised egos there. Yeah, and there's a look. Oh, just one of those sloppy spins. Not needed. That's all I'm going to say there. Of course, Collins does give back the position to Hill. So a bit of sportsmanship there, but of course, both of them will get incident points as a consequence. We were looking at Trengrid. He'd got himself right back up in close contact with Michel de Jong for your race lead in GTO. Gets a much better run, actually, out of Coca-Cola, does Trengrid compared to the Jägermeister car. Well, I always say, Connor, Jägermeister and Coca-Cola doesn't mix. Drink one, drink the other, drink it neat. Drink responsibly. Yeah, exactly. And students know all about that, well, the drink in front right now, shall we say, as some of the prototypes just try to make their way through. Anti-Lepisto and Jamie Hall. This is the battle for P number 2, in fact, making their way by the battle for P number 1 in GTO, and Trengrid's just going to get well out of the way, let those two prototypes by, as Lepisto's going to try and get past the number 9 machine, your race leaders. Here comes Jamie Hall trying to take position while that is all happening. This could get very sketchy indeed. De Jong's just going to have to stay on the outside line for turn number 6. Let those two prototypes through. Oh, that is so close. De Jong. Oh, that is. Oh, I have no other words for that.
You saw one, didn't realize the second one was there. Going to do exactly the same thing. For De Jong, it's very lucky actually. He had himself a bit of a lead as they worked past Trengrid. Otherwise, Trengrid would have been right behind him into Dunlop. Well, it always started off. Lepisto actually had himself a half moment down at turn number 2. Got himself a bit of a wiggle. That allowed Jamie Hall to close up. I think we want to see one more look, though, if we can, at what happened down at turn number 7. And this one that you want to focus at this point on Jamie Hall, the second car in line. You just see how De Jong is very smart to just move himself out of the way there. Otherwise, it would have been race over for him.
Yeah, it would have absolutely been race over for him as, again, they're trying to deal with a little bit of traffic. That was Schneider heading their way through on your GTO race leaders, but Trengrid has a gap to close up yet again. Does so, majority of which he gets coming onto the brakes in towards the NGK chicane. Gets a good run out. Defensive inside line has to be taken from Michel de Jong here. Coming down into the Coca-Cola curve. Outside line taken from Trengrid, trying to get that power down, but that power down isn't going to come down soon enough for him, and he's still going to be behind as they head their way across the line, but this is close enough for a dive into one. Yep,
so let's have a look then. We're on board of Trengrid. He's looking down to the inside for the race lead. And can he get it on the second phase of braking? No, he can't. Although De Jong does cut the inside corner a little bit there, it's not going to be enough for Trengrid to gain any advantage into turn number 2. He had to stay behind once again. That battle's going on. We've got battle for P number 2 going on in terms of your prototype field as well. 2 fantastic battles. We thought this was going to be a dull race at one point, Connery.
Yeah, exactly. 16 cars, 4 Audis, 12 Nissan GTPs. You know, you would have thought, maybe there's not much to look at this race, but these guys are doing a fantastic job of giving these fantastic battles, both near the front of their respective classes as well. And, you know, I want to go back to the opportunity into turn number 1 from Chengrid. He just basically, he had the opportunity, he had the door open, he could have slung it down towards the inside, but it seems like he just didn't, you know, didn't have the balls of steel needed and just said to De Jong, just come on, make your way by, I'm going to wait here.
Yeah, Michel De Jong is just keeping that advantage, though. And it's going to be a case of what's going to happen. And again, these drivers need to keep an eye out as well on the final stage of this race. When does your race leader, Dave Yealing, actually get himself past? He's got a half-a-minute advantage over everyone else. Now, with a lead that big, he may well get another lap in where he might not have otherwise been able to do so.
Yeah, and that would, and is that something drivers would have considered at the end here? You know, you can take the fuel out a little bit to, you know, because since it's not a full stint, there's a slight bit of lockup there coming from De Jong in towards the NGK chicane. But the thing is, the line is well defended from him, so could potentially see fuel issues at the end if it goes one more than expected. But I think we'll just be okay as Chengrid again trying for the opportunity. But here comes Ojin Jack here down towards the inside, and the prototype, and that is the best place for him to get this one done. Try and get both of them done coming down the pit straight, and only just does. So he makes his way by, and that's exactly what you want to see if you're a GTO driver. Pass on the pit stage prototypes, please.
Yeah, indeed. So there is a look, by the way. Hi, it's your race leader, number 1 machine. Let's just have a look. We're on board with him. He's actually starting to lap some drivers in your prototype field. This is how fast he's been here today. Going to work himself past the number 16 car, Rory Collins, to put him a lap down in a 40-minute race. That is how fast that number 1 machine's been today.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable pace from him, and proving why he has that 8.3 K road rating when all is said and done. Of course, the strength of field here is 2,862 across all of the classes. Here is opportunity for Chengrid again coming down into Dunlop. De Jong's just so squarely on the brakes coming down into there. But the thing is, Ove just can't capitalize on it as yet more prototypes behind them. Philip Lake can have something to say about this particular battle. Towards the outside he'll have to go, and doesn't dive down one down the inside of De Jong coming down in towards turn number 11. And let's just see what happens into 12 as De Jong tries to get himself into the corner, but hi, there's a prototype on the inside.
We just had ourselves a very close moment there with Antti Lepisto and Jamie Hall. That could have gone all forms of wrong. It all started, I was riding on board actually with Jamie Hall. He was right behind Lepisto. Lepisto had a bit of an error down in the first couple of corners of the lap there. That really allowed Hall to catch up, but he wasn't able to capitalize down into Dunlop there, Connery.
Yeah, ding-dong battle coming through the Mercedes Arena in turn number 1, but the thing is, Hall still not able to try to make his way by, and he's running out of time. If you look at the timer, it will say 1 minute 30 seconds left. There's actually Best who has to completely abort the NGK chicane, and Jamie Hall will make his way through into P number 2.
Replay showing now. He didn't even attempt to take... Well, he did actually attempt to take it. At that point, it's probably faster to just take the gravel, not the gravel, the asphalt, run for the WC layout and take the penalty rather than bouncing along. What's going on?
GTO race lead. GTO race lead. Tundra has to go around the outside here, out of turn number 12, coming down through towards the kink now. Opportunity still on for that number 8 driver with about 54 seconds left in this event. So last lap is coming up for these guys, depending on where the leader crosses the line. And Tundra still has to try and stay behind his man and try to look for the gap coming down into the Coca-Cola curve, but it's not going to be on for him.
It's not. Exit, final corner. They're going to take the white flag. Potentially this time by. It's very close. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Are they going to make... No, he's not going to make the move down in towards turn number 1. I want to turn our attention over to Dave Geeling. Let's see where he is. This is going to be very, very close.
Get one extra.
I think we might just get one extra. Is he going to slow it down?
Yeah, that's all going to be what we're looking at here. Is look for the lack of acceleration out of the final corner. 6 seconds, 5, 4, 3. He comes across line now, so we will get another lap.
Brutal there by Dave Geeling. He has been faster than anyone else, almost by a second here today, but he's going to make the entire field do one more lap. And now the question is, do people have enough fuel?
Yeah, that is the big question here, and it would be a shame if this GTO race lead battle is spoiled by one or even both of these drivers running out of fuel. But let's just see what happens as they make their way down into Dunlop. Again, that inside line is going to be left open by Michel de Jong coming through the middle of it, but Tundra still not close enough to capitalize on that particular mistake that de Jong makes coming down through there. Coming through the Michael Schumacher S's now, Tundra does catch up through the initial stages, but the gap stagnates coming out of the top on Michael Schumacher S's into turn number 11 now, and Tundra, he's going to be thankful that he has one more lap to make this pass.
Yep. A good run, though, on the exit of Warnsteiner. That's exactly what he needed initially, but just couldn't get the power down. Here we are then. These guys are going to have a lap to go at the line. Tundra is not quite close enough as they come down into the chicane for their penultimate time. Although, can he get the move done on the exit of the corner? Looking down to the inside into Coca-Cola. Will he be able to make it work? No, not yet. Now it's a case of, can he get the power coming off the corner as they'll work towards the Yokohama curve for the final time? And actually, no, Tundra does not get good power off of the corner as they'll come down in towards 1 for the final time. But behind, here is Dave Geeling. He's going to work himself through the final corner for the final time, and Dave Geeling will win. Week 5 of Racebot TV Prime Time from fantastic Nürburgring, Kamel GT. Geeling is your winner in the number 1 machine here today, winning by 33 seconds over Jamie Hall. But we want to turn our attention back to what has been a fantastic battle all day long in your GTO field. De Jong still has the advantage. In fact, he's built it up a little bit, Connery, as they now into 6 and 7 for the final time.
Yeah, a couple of moments of oversteer for Tundra coming through the Mercedes arena has really put him behind in this battle on the final lap, but now is the crucial couple of corners here into Dunlop. De Jong takes that characteristic wider line, deep on the brakes goes Tundra, but he has to take a little bit of a power side coming through the middle of the corner, and the longer this one goes on, the longer that Tundra is going to have less and less of a chance of getting himself by towards turn number 11 now, and it has to be an absolutely brilliant final sector for the Scandinavian driver to make his way past here, and it's going to have to be late on the brakes, perhaps into the NGK chicane if he gets a good run out of here.
Yeah, and now it's all going to be a case of acceleration coming out of the corner. Will Tundra try and stuff one down the inside now? Will he wait until after the chicane and maybe try and do it down at the Coca-Cola curve? At this point, it is unlikely to be either, because he's not quite close enough. Here they are, big slide there by the number 8 machine. That battle is over, and it will be the driver of Michel de Jong who will come out of the final corner, and he will win in class here at the Nürburgring. GTO winner here on Kamel GT.
Absolutely brilliant race in both of your fields, and well, it was pretty much a grandstand finish for both P2 in your prototypes and P1 in your GTO field, but Michel de Jong will come out on top of that particular battle, qualified just behind your pole position sitter over Tringard, but Tringard couldn't carry on that qualifying performance to the race. He has to settle for second.
Yeah, so let's have a look then at your final race results here on Racesport TV iRacing Live. We start off with your prototypes, and Dave Geeling wins by 33.4 seconds over Jamie Hall. Hall able to get himself up into second place after Andy Lepisto pushed wide, had to take the runoff down at the NGK chicane with about 3 laps to go. Nicholas Schneider qualified 4th, finished in 4th. Philip Blake had some issues early on, able to move himself up into 5th place. Calvin Frundent coming home in P6. John Keith in 7th. Martin Krunjaniec in 8th. We saw the battle between John Hill and Rory Collins. They actually had a crash down at the Kokoda curve with about 4 to go. But Hill able to come home 9th and Rory Collins in 10th place. Remainder of your results there from your prototype field. Jose Antonio Camara Padres there in 11th place, and Olejniak there rounding out your field 1 lap down. Everyone did finish the race in class. Then over to your GTO field. Michel de Jong coming home first, over Trengareed in 2nd place, Hideki Kavisto in 3rd place, and then we had one driver not start, that is Boy Fire, started 4th, didn't actually start the race, and therefore classified in last in class. We'll step aside for a moment here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. When we come back, we'll talk about our weekend's worth of action. You're watching Racesport TV on iRacing Live.
Red Bull GRCs are now available on iRacing. I personally put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, developing the cars, the tracks, the dirt, making sure it is authentic as possible, and I really think you guys are going to love it. The best part is that this 600 horsepower Volkswagen Beetle is free to all members. So get signed up now and come race me online.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Will Vincent here, Connery Matic, to wrap things up from Friday Night Primetime and run through what we have got coming up this weekend here for you on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. And of course, we started off with hashtag Dirt Night, Red Bull Global Rallycross at Phoenix, World of Outlaws late models at Lanier, and we've got World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series at Volusia, Connery.
Yeah, we will, and GRC always a fantastic event, and a new event that we're doing for this season here on Racesport TV and iRacing Live. And if you want to see a Mitchell de Jong rather than a Michel de Jong potentially winning a race, then tune in for that one.
Then tomorrow, we've got ourselves round number 8 of the Pro Series of Road Racing from Imola, the Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari, as it's also known. And, well, the championship took a bit of an interesting turn last week, Connery. Sebastian Job, another unforced error. His championship realistically is done. Now it's a case of holding on to punch his ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Top 10 in that particular series get themselves a World Championship Grand Prix Series license. And Sebastian Job, he's made so many mistakes this season. And now we get into this sort of stage now where those drop weeks are all done and finalized. And every mistake here from here on out is going to be counted in terms of your point standings. He had that crash at Spa, which actually did count in terms of the drop weeks. And another incident like that, and he's completely out. And it would have been it would be the biggest upset that we've pretty much ever had in an iRacing Road Pro Series. But you just have to tune in for that one. It's going to be at Imola, and it's going to be a fantastic race, and see how those drivers deal with all of those low speed chicanes.
Yeah, and then after that, get yourself a quick bite to eat, grab a couple of beers or sodas, whatever's your choice. Sit down, because it's the Raw before the 24. Our journey and the iRacing special event scene for 2018 begins this weekend. 2 hours and 24 minutes worth of racing. And, well, it's always been the tradition to be the first big event on the iRacing calendar. You got yourself the Grand Sport car. Of course, that is the Ford Mustang, the Street Tuner, the Mazda MX-5. Question, Connery, what do we classify the Kia as? Is it a GT5?
I'm not too sure about them. I know some people like to consider them some sort of like pseudo touring car or something like that, but still, I'm not sure how to answer that question. But the field I am definitely going to watch during that race is that Mazda field, because it can be absolutely bonkers, and it should just be an enjoyable race as a result.
I was having a look at the top speeds. They do top out 128 miles an hour, 128 to 130, depending on how you set the car up. They'll do lap times of 2 minutes 10s, 2 minutes 13s and race pace. The Ford Mustangs will do lap times around 203 to 208. The Kias 150 to 153. So those of you counting there, 20-second speed differential between the Kias and the Mazda MX-5s over the course of that event. 2 hours and 24 minutes worth of racing. That is Saturday, 10 past 5. We'll start here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. Friends over at V8 Online, of course, doing the 9 p.m. Eastern Time race. Tonight, catch that also on iRacing Live. Then Sunday, Connery, we head ourselves here again to the Nürburgring. That is for the Neo Endurance Series round number 4.
Yep, Neo Endurance Series, one of the jewels in the sim racing crown, so to speak, at least in terms of endurance racing. And looking at the standings coming into that one, Pure Racing Team LMP looking dominant at the top of the prototype standings, 90 points versus Core Sim Racing 66 points. But there's still some things kind of all to play for, especially in terms of your GT field. You've got both kind of sim sport cars currently leading that one, but you have worthy challenges behind Heukensveld Core Motorsports and Core Sim Racing GTE as well, looking to get themselves in towards the thick of things. And if Core Motorsports can have a fantastic race like they did at Road America, they can bring themselves back into the championship fight in terms of that one. But you know, once we get the Nürburgring done, once we get the race at Spa done, then it's going to be the season finale at the Le Mans racing circuit as well, 24 hours. And speaking of 24 hours, we've got one next week.
Yeah, we have. It will be back to Daytona for the 24 hours of Daytona. We're going to have a pre-race show for that immediately after Friday night prime time next Friday. So keep yourself locked and loaded for that one. Just to sum up the rest of our weekend's action, we've got ourselves a Sim Racing Grand Prix. We've got a race going on there at Laguna Seca. That will be on Sunday at 5:30 p.m. GMT. Don't worry about understanding the commentary, because it's all going to be in Norwegian. And then we round things off, as always, with the Joe Gibbs Off-Season Action Series, round number 5 at Bristol Motor Speedway. And next Friday, you and I are going to do some more Spec Racer Ford action at Circuit Spa Francorchamps at 8:50 p.m. GMT.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, the SRF series, one of the featured series, the iRacing featured series for this season. So there's prize money on offer for the top 3 drivers in each division in that series. The other series, at least on the oval side, that is featured for this season is the seat fixed trucks as well. So, you know, if you want to, you know, get that car or track you've always wanted to get but didn't quite make the budget meet, maybe finish well in one of those divisions, and iRacing will give you a bit of a bonus.
Oh, yeah, indeed. So that's what we've got coming up. Want to say a very quick thank you before we go to, of course, a couple of people. We do so after every broadcast, but they are Isfan Balaj, Track Counter Gourmets. Download them now from the iRacing forum, as well as overlay design by Andreas Warner and And1 Design, animation by Simon Grossman of appgeneer.in, live timing and scoring sorted out that by Nick Thiessen, our live timing and scoring software. We are done for the evening. We want to say goodbye to you here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. We hope you've had a good evening with us. It's time for a retro montage. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.